Hello, and welcome to this video where we will talk about how to create books. To place these on Amazon, on the marketplace there. It's really kind of a fun little hobby that I've come up with. Essentially, this started because I was trying to figure out what is AI, what is it capable of doing, and through that process, I found the ability to create books with AI assistance, and I've gone on now to make, I believe, 8 books that I have up on Amazon, which is really pretty cool. It's a fun little hobby, and AI is very useful to help create these books. So we'll talk about how exactly do we go about doing this. First of all, what I will do is typically have an idea for a book. A recent one that I was working on is actually a book about Jan Sobieski, who helped defeat the Turks outside the gates of Vienna, and wanting to do a historical fiction novel about that and have it both in English and in Polish. So it'd be useful for language learning as well as, teaching some history. So kind of a fun little project there. So to do that, what I will do is first start off using Notebook LM. This is an AI tool that is very good at researching topics, and it can actually then generate a summary for you. And with that summary, you can go on to do various things, including you could make a fake podcast to describe the events that took place there, which is really quite fascinating. And I've used that in just exploring AI. I've used that to have a discussion about dacrocystorhinostomy, which is a surgical technique that I do. So it's really cool to do things like that, but what you can also do is generate a report. And with that report, you can then load that into ChatGPT, and this can give a good framework for ChatGPT to then make a very nice book for you. Essentially, that gives a good framework, and you tell ChatGPT what exactly you would like to do, saying exactly like I said, I'd like to make a historical fiction novel with this as the basis. And how long would you like it to be? Perhaps like 10 chapters, something like this. And I'd like that to be both in English and in Polish. The way I've worked it out is actually I will create the entire thing in English and then go back chapter by chapter and do translation for those section, basically doing each paragraph one at a time, translating into Polish, and making a master document that will list everything. So this is how I've gone about doing exactly that type topic. Some of these language learning, historical novel type books. And what I will do then is when I am creating this with ChatGPT is it basically cannot have the entire memory of the book that it's creating in its access at one time. So it really has to work chapter by chapter. And that's okay. You can have it generate a chapter at a time. You can look at that initially, or you can just keep saying, okay, next chapter, okay, next chapter, next chapter, and have a Word document created at the end that you then can print and can edit, go over, etc. I do obviously suggest that you carefully scrutinize these items, as you can have errors that AI can create and oddities that you really need to correct. So you could do it chapter by chapter, reading each chapter as it comes out and making suggestions, corrections, etc. at that time. Or what I like to do, frankly, is just let it all generate, saying next, next, next. Get a Word document that I can print off and can go over that paper format and make notes, etc. And then go back into ChatGPT and say, hey, here are errors here, there. Let's correct these things, making a new master document, if there are a lot of them, you have to print it again and go through this process again. But eventually you get this to the point that you have a very nice document that you can use, and that is the nidus of your book. Typically then, what I will do is I will tell ChatGPT, okay, I want this to be a 6 by 9 inch paperback book that I will have loaded onto Amazon KDP, which is Kindle Digital Publishing, and ChatGPT can make that file with those required sizing. So then essentially what that gives you is a page count. You can then go into KDP publishing site to get a template so that you could make a cover for this book. So by knowing the pages and knowing what color paper you want, what size of the book, whether it's hardback or softback, once you know these things, then you can actually have a template that you can download. I will then take that downloaded template and I will put that into Adobe Photoshop Elements 2024, and then we can put pictures, text, etc., and make the wrap for our book. Now, to generate the pictures, you can also use AI to do that. Leonardo.ai is a good site that you can free make images, but there are just a great deal of places out there that can do that. ChatGPT can do that as well. It is sometimes good at images, sometimes bad at images, but generally it is good to create an image so that then you're not going to run into any type of copyright infringement on anything, rather than taking a picture from elsewhere and using that on the cover of your book. But generally, once you have these pictures, you can put those on this template in the Adobe Photoshop, and you can then eventually save that as a PDF that you will be able to upload to the Amazon Kindle site when you're ready to start publishing your book. So you'll have your document then that you're ready to upload. You'll have your wrap that you're ready to upload. And then you go to the Kindle publishing site and you can start entering these. It'll be a new project and you will put in the title. The title needs to match the title that you put on your wrap, because it will detect that if there's an error and it'll kick it out if that is not going to be the same. So you're going to have that all the same, of course, and you're going to do things such as picking phrases, 7 phrases that will help people find this book on Amazon. If they're searching, for example, Jan Sobieski, then this book would potentially pop up, the one that we're talking about making. So those you enter, and eventually you'll also enter a price point that you think would be appropriate for this paperback book. And eventually you hit publish, and then Amazon will look at this, scrutinize it. It may or may not be accepted. There may be errors with your cover wrap, maybe errors that they find in the book itself, etc. But eventually, once you correct these, then you actually can have this published. It can very easily be that a Kindle book as well, which is of course good to have. It gives the public more options for purchasing your book. And you can do hardback also if you'd like. As an author, you can get author's copies, which mainly you're doing the cost of the printing, although it does still charge you for shipping and handling, even if you do belong to Amazon Prime. So it will get you for the printing costs and shipping and handling, but still much cheaper. So generally I will do that and get a bunch of copies made, and I can give those out to friends and etc. So it's kind of fun that way. Um, and it will keep track of sales for you too, which is really, really pretty cool. Now, it's really kind of hard for people to find these books, so you have to look around what are good places you could actually sort of uh, potentially advertise that book. You can go to places like Quora, answer questions there, and you can mention, oh, by the way, yeah, I have a book on this topic on Jan Sobieski, and here's the link on Amazon if you were interested in purchasing that book. You know, things like that that you can work on to try to advertise the book itself. So that, in a nutshell, is how I have been making some books on the Amazon Kindle site using AI. I have a number of fiction books that are Dungeons and Dragons related. I have historical books that are historical fiction, language books, so kind of language learning that way. And I have several medical books as well. I am a physician by trade, so this is certainly not my frank line of work. This is really just a hobby, but it really grew out of, as I mentioned, I wanted to learn what is AI, what's going on. This is looking like this is going to reshape the world. What do I need to know about this? And from trying to figure that out, I grew into this avenue of actually making books, and it's really pretty fun. I've enjoyed that. It's a fun little hobby. So I hope that you will take this all to heart and think about it yourself. Maybe you would enjoy making books also. And if you have any questions, perhaps we can communicate and discuss that further. Thanks for listening, and I hope you have a good day and success in your publishing career as well. Have a good day.